Welcome back, Knuckleheads. I am Lupine Fiasco, and this is Daily FaB Gameplay. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed, that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now, compared to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either reinforce good play patterns or identify areas for improvement for the purpose of tightening and improving our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like the upcoming Skirmish and ProQuest season, and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you'd like to check out the list I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord and the shiny cardboard Talishar card back. At higher tiers, your name will appear in every DFG video, and you could receive bonus DFG content every week. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. I also now am on X, and if you would like to see memes, inane comments, and the occasional self-promotion, head on over to X and follow Lupine Fiasco. Now, without further ado, let's talk about our sideboard and about our game plan. Rather than pretend I know about Enigma's place in the meta, and not just about Enigma's place against Kayo, let's jump right into it. We win the die roll, and against Enigma we want to go second. Despite being an illusionist, this matchup plays out much more like a mid-range grind against Victor. Enigma is going to primarily defend, whether that be through blocking or through ward, and on her turn will look to establish big plays like Manifestation of Miragai or disruptive turns with Weakest Link, Command and Conquer. I've seen Enigmas on Humble. And if we go second, Enigma doesn't really have the opportunity to set up. The best setup play she could make on turn 0 is to transcend and get chi into her deck, but it's very unlikely that she can do that. The most that she can probably do on turn 0 is attack with something that we get to block, and that gives us tempo on our turn 1 because every card that Enigma uses to block is a card she cannot play. As far as what we are sideboarding, the only cut is going to be send packing, and in place of send packing, we are adding the Weakest Link. It isn't necessarily that Weakest Link is good against Enigma. It can be, but more that send packing is bad. We're expecting Enigma to block with defense reactions, ward, cards from hand. Send packing may threaten an arsenal. That arsenal may be an instant, or it may just be that Enigma can easily protect the arsenal. And if send packing is not taking Enigma off of what she wants to be doing anyway, which in this case is defending and playing that mid-range plan, it is just a 3-cost 6, which does not fit our cost curve. We really value 2-cost 6s in Kayo. So we are cutting send packing and adding the Weakest Link, which is that 2-cost 6. Also fairly unlikely to ever get its on-hit effect. Either Enigma is going to defend it or not have cards that are affected by the Weakest Link, but if nothing else, it is a 2 for 6 that fits our plan. Cast Bones in this matchup, I used to be a lot higher on it than I am now. When Enigma was looking to do these slow setup plays, I thought that going very tall with Cast Bones was our best option, but at this point, I just don't like it, which is weird because I do like it against Victor, and you would think that if I'm treating Victor and Enigma the same, then I would play Cast Bones, but I have just found that Cast Bones does not let you pivot to that ultra aggro plan when you really need to clear a Miragai, and sometimes you just need to be able to send 5 cards at Enigma's face, and Cast Bones is really antithetical to that. It will be useful a lot of the time, but every once in a while you just need it to be an attack, and it cannot fill that role, which is why we leave it in the sideboard. Yellow Pulping is a card that I would want to like in this matchup, but with the variety in Enigma lists, there is no way to know how many defense reactions they're running. Some are on Sink Below and Fate Foreseen, some are on those 2 and Unravel Aggression, some are on those 3 and Blue Sink Below or Hold the Line. It's hard to put Enigma on a consistent number of defense reactions, and if she could be playing upwards of 15, we are not going to put Yellow Pulping in the list, though we will leave Red Pulping. And finally, Amnesia does fit that 2 for 6, but is almost entirely useless in this matchup. The Amnesia effect does not hurt Enigma, I don't believe, at all. And if there is some fringe interaction between the Amnesia effect and Enigma, it is so minimal that Amnesia is not worth including over some disruption like Weakest Link or Pack Hunt or Command and Conquer. Our game plan is that we want to have action points available. Action point economy is what kills Enigma, because if we are going 3 links wide consistently or 4 or 5 links wide on a big turn, Enigma cannot protect her Manifestation of Miragai or Waxing Spectre or anything that she would have put on board. She can't protect her board presence, and that is what we are trying to do. We want to save Sash and hopefully a Blood Rush Bellow or Wild Ride Pulping E-Strike in Arsenal for when we just need to send a lot of damage very quickly. To that point, we are going to prioritize arsenaling Go Again when we can find it, and on turns where Enigma does not have a board that we need to clear, we may just take our foot off the gas a bit, do some setup with Agile or Mighty Windup, maybe block for tempo, and send smaller turns, just waiting for her to build back up so that we can knock down her manifestation. Submit deck, we'll jump into it, and we'll see if I can do just that. Very interesting start to this game already. We see that Enigma is on Iris of Reality and not Cosmo. There's a big difference between the two, obviously. Iris is going to focus a lot less on setting up a board, certainly less on disruption, and is going to focus more on protecting a thing, making a Spectral Shield, a Haze Bending, and getting her 1 card 4 by pitching a blue into the Iris attack. Because of that, we need to not necessarily change our strategy, we just need to be aware that losing action point economy is going to cost us. If Enigma can keep auras on the field, in particular Spectra, is something we now really need to care about. We would already care about Shimmers of Silver in traditional Cosmo lists, but now we really care about it. And Haze Bending goes from a card that I really could not care less about killing in Cosmo Enigma to not a must-kill target, but something that I really would like to take off of the board. The nice thing about Iris Enigma is that she is on Waves of Reality in the glove slot instead of Uphold Tradition or Waves of Aquamarine, which means that there is no face-down damage. Command and Conquer cannot be 7 power. Manifestation of Miragai cannot attack for 10. We know what the glove slot is, it's face up. Everything Enigma is doing is face up. We have E-Strike for 5 Go Again. We are just going to put 3 in front of this. I would like to hold on to this Agile windup for as long as possible. I don't know what Enigma's follow-up to the E-Strike is, but rather than cleanly block it for 5 with the windup, I do want to hold on to the windup. Hopefully the follow-up to this is Enigma makes an aura and attacks for 4, and I get to block with Smash Instinct, take 1, and then discard Wind Up. But instead we have Command and Conquer. I value preventing 2 damage more than I value making an agility because we have a Wild Ride. If this Wild Ride was a Bare Fangs, I might consider blocking for 3, going to 35, and making the agility token on Enigma's turn. But because we already have Go Again in hand, I'm going to block 5 here. What is nice about this is Enigma does not have an arsenal. We only have to worry about 4 cards. I like opening this turn with Pulping. I would prefer not to take an intellect penalty if I can help it, and our best case scenario is that we pitch yellow Wild Ride to play Pulping and then draw a yellow and discard one of our reds so that we do have a follow-up to the Wild Ride. If we do end up keeping a red, then we have a choice between Mandible Claw or just taking an intellect penalty. I'm not sure which I prefer, but we don't need to make that decision now. Now we need to make that decision, unfortunately. We do have a choice between getting IP'd or just pitching 2 reds to Mandible Claw. Because Enigma just made a Spectral Shield, I value getting it off of the board more than I value having an arsenal. That may be incorrect. If either of these was a Wild Ride or a Pulping, I would have a different opinion about whether I want to arsenal them, but neither of them have Go Again, are not significantly contributing to our overall plan of having action points. So I would rather just Mandible Claw Enigma and either kill the Spectral Shield, which is currently a 1-card 4 because of Iris, or I get a card from Enigma. Either way, I'm turning these 2 cards into 4 more life for me, and that is good enough to make me want to pitch them instead of arsenaling 1 and taking that intellect penalty. It's just unfortunate that they were both reds. If one of them had been a yellow or a blue, I would happily attack with them. Looking at Spectral Shield for 4 Go Again, we aren't going to block this unless Enigma does something scary with these last 2 cards in our hand. We currently get to attack for 5 Go Again with E-Strike and then 7 with a Bare Fangs and make a Might, which sounds fantastic to me. Staring down a Shimmers of Silver, which on its own is a 1-card 5. If we manage to clear the Spectral Shield and get 3 cards out of Enigma's hand, she always has the ability to pitch a blue into Shimmers, attack for 4. Shimmers will see itself attacking and put a counter on itself to attack for 5. And that does change our game plan just a bit. I want to E-Strike for 6 Go Again, targeting Enigma, and then I would like to pitch Bare Fangs into Mandible Claw to get Shimmers off of the field. Shimmers is a must-kill target, is a high-priority target. One, in this matchup, because of Iris being a 1-card 5, but even in traditional Cosmo Enigma, the fact that Shimmers buffs Miragai up to Ward 5, which then translates into 2 more power on offense. Now, I hate this play, and I understand why I'm doing it. I want to get the Spectral Shield off of the field. I also want to make a Might. This is a 2-card 8 rather than a 1-card 3 with an arsenal. It is just that Shimmers is such a high priority target. I want to take it off of the field. Because Enigma blocked the E-Strike for 6, she was always going to have a aura on the field. It was either going to be the Spectral Shield or the Shimmers, but I would rather have her keep a Spectral Shield. Restless Coalescence comes down from Enigma, currently covering 3 damage and taking 4. It's fine. Enigma just turning a non-block into 2-block. Okay. Here we have Shimmers attacking for 5. We aren't going to block this. We could block it with Savage Sash. Our armor here is not really preventing any on-hit. We are just using it to convert into life at some point in the game. But we don't need to use it right now. We can wait on that armor. Maybe Enigma mises a Command and Conquer at some point, and we do just put 6 points of armor in front of it. What do we want to do with this hand? I would like to get the Shimmers off of the board, and unfortunately with Run Roughshod, we don't have a great way to do it. Now I could have discarded Windup at the end of Enigma's turn to make Agility, and then attack Enigma with Weakest Link for 7, with Go Again, then pitch our second blue to claw Shimmers. Saying it out loud, that probably was the best plan. What I'm considering doing now is clawing Enigma for 4 by pitching Wrecker Romp, then discarding Agile Windup to make Might and Agility, give the Mandible Claw Go Again, and then Run Roughshod the Shimmers. It feels like a waste of Run Roughshod, but getting Shimmers off the board is just so important. We make a Might, make an Agility, arsenal a Weakest Link, and then get to really go off next turn. Now what we're seeing instead is Enigma is double transcending. And if Enigma is that committed to having Chi available, it makes me rethink my plan. I'm going to Weakest Link Enigma because I think Enigma is holding on to Manifestation of Miragai, and that if she is double transcending, it's because she wants to pitch a Chi into Enigma activation. She then wants to pitch a second Chi into Manifestation of Miragai, then use the other blue in her hand to attack with Miragai for 8. And I don't want that to happen. I'm going to Weakest Link Enigma instead. She is not transcended at this point, so Traverse is just 2 block. There is no tutor effect from Traverse at this point. So this is a very good time to be Weakest Linking Enigma. We see the Manifestation come down. Enigma pitches Chi into it. That is Ward 4. And Restless Coalescence out of Arsenal is going to be enough to cover the full 6. So leaving Enigma with a Chi and a card that we don't know. And while we don't kill the Shimmers and we don't get the Weakest Link effect, the fact that we make Enigma use Miragai on defense rather than offense is fantastic. Shimmers attacking for 6 at this point, which is horrifying. I am not expecting Enigma to do anything with this last card in her hand besides arsenal it. We can think about how we want to use the cards in our hand. Currently, we can pack hunt Enigma for 7 by pitching our blue into pack hunt. We intimidate a card, we threaten damage, and then we can pitch Swing Big into Mandible Clawing the Shimmers and arsenal a Wild Ride. I think that's the best way to use this hand. We could also block Shimmers with Savage Sash to cover 2. On our turn, we break Sash, fire off Swing Big for 9, Go Again at Enigma, follow up with Wild Ride for 5, Go Again, make a Might at Enigma, then use the last card we draw to pitch into Mandible Claw to break Shimmers. Great use of Sash, great use of Agility. We are throwing 14 damage at Enigma's face and making a Might and clearing Shimmers. But I don't think we need to break Sash right now. I think we can just play very conservatively while also arsenaling that Wild Ride so that we have Go Again available to clean up when Enigma rebuilds. Enigma still is going to need to aggressively block to protect this Spectral Shield. So just throwing Pack Hunt for 7 is fine. Enigma has no arsenal. Traverse is on, but ultimately I think just 9 claw pass is good enough. So we see Enigma find the Chi. We are clawing Shimmers. We are looking to arsenal that Wild Ride. Pitching the Chi into Meridian Pathway to flash out Haze Bending has to be the only logical line here, and that is what we see. Killing the Shimmers is going to create a Spectral Shield for Enigma, which potentially lets her get a 2-card 8. And unfortunately, we don't really have a way to play around. Sure we do. Do we want to block with Flesh Bag here? If Enigma does have another blue in hand, that is just Spectral Shield for 4. But if we Flesh Bag it, we prevent 2 and then get to crack in with Command and Conquer. I think that is good. We Wild Ride from Arsenal. We hope that we hold on to our CNC, and then we get to claw CNC, and we know that Enigma has a card in Arsenal. I think that is a great use of Flesh Bag. Flesh Bag effectively preventing 6 damage, while also making sure that Enigma has a card in Arsenal for CNC feels like the absolute best line. This does not feel like the absolute best line. If we are expecting Enigma to pitch the other card in her hand to attack with Spectral Shield, then blocking with CNC makes sense. But I don't know why we're wasting a 5-card hand when we could just attack with CNC instead of blocking with it. We get way more value out of offensive than defensive Command and Conquer. But Enigma does not go for the second attack. We have a handful of blues, so this Wild Ride is looking a lot less good. This just feels like we Mandible Claw, Enigma, pitching Wrecker Romp, discard Mighty Windup to make 2 mites and give Claw go again, and then run Roughshod Enigma. Sort of a tough call to run Roughshod Enigma instead of Haze Bending. Haze Bending, a lot less dangerous than Shimmers, but will always be a 1-card 4 with Iris. So this may be a situation where we do want to get the Haze Bending off the table. It does replace itself, so Enigma does have something to attack with, but we gotta get the Haze Bending off the table one way or the other. I honestly don't know which is better here, to run Roughshod Enigma or Haze Bending. Let me know in the comments what you would have done, because I'm choosing to Haze Bending Enigma in this game, or run Roughshod Enigma in this game. And we get a Fate Foreseen out of Enigma's hand. She still takes a point of damage, but we have to deal with this Haze Bending. Drawing into 2 Blood Rushes here, just a little unfortunate. We should take 4 points of damage. Flesh Bagging Enigma becomes a lot less interesting when she has Tunic available and did not pitch the card in her arsenal. It does make me think this arsenal might be Miraging Metamorph. And if we Flesh Bag the card in Enigma's hand, we are not getting value out of our Flesh Bag. So I would be inclined to just take 4 from this. Blocking with Blood Rush is a mistake. I would like to blame just being rusty on Kayo after playing a lot of Zen. We should not be blocking with Blood Rush. We should be keeping 5 cards and pitching Blood Rush to play Blood Rush. Miraging Metamorph came from hand, not from Arsenal, so it is possible that Flesh Bag would have gotten value. I do stand by not Flesh Bagging, just because we still don't know what Enigma's card in Arsenal is, except that it probably isn't a blue. We cannot pop Miraging Metamorph here. It would just make a copy of Haze Bending, which would be absolutely terrible for us. I don't mind putting armor in front of the Metamorph. We can block with Bonebreaker and Leathers, but I do want to keep 3 cards. We play Blood Rush, absolutely, there's no question about it. The question is, are we going to break our sash for 3 cards? Kind of an awkward series of draws. CNC plus E-Strike do not directly benefit from Blood Rush, but we do get to break sash and play Wild Ride and count on Wild Ride to try and fix this hand. If we draw and discard anything, then we can just CNC for 6, Arsenal E-Strike. If we draw into probably a blue is like our worst card, we could attack with the blue and pitch E-Strike. This does just generally seem like a bad situation, a series of bad draws from Blood Rush there. Best case scenario, we do find a blue so that we get to Mandible Claw CNC. Definitely a situation where it's better to be lucky than good. We have passed the point where we feel good about clawing Haze Bending. We are going to send Claw CNC at Enigma's face and just let her keep Haze Bending for another turn. As a spoiler, I will not kill Haze Bending this game. I was not correctly evaluating Haze Bending's value in this game as just a 1-card 4 every turn forever. But that was a turn where I agree with not killing Haze Bending. I think we lose too much value if we kill the Haze Bending rather than send CNC at Enigma's face. How do we want to play out this turn? This is an interesting one. I don't believe we're blocking Haze Bending. We have the option to discard Agile Windup at the end of Enigma's turn to make an agility. Then we attack Enigma with Bare Fangs for 8 go again. Replace the Might and then pitch whatever's left in our hand to claw the Haze Bending is, I believe, what we should do. We also have an option to take 4 here, go to our turn, pitch Windup into Mandible Claw, discard Agile Windup to make Might and Agility, and then pitch Bare Fangs to CNC. We also have a line where we can CNC Enigma for 7 by pitching Mighty Windup, discard Agile Windup, make Might and Agility, and then Arsenal Bare Fangs, and set up for a 5-card hand after Enigma has to cover the CNC and can't do so with defense reactions. That seems like the best plan. Never mind. The best plan is discard Windup at the end of Enigma's turn, make Agility, pitch blue, play CNC, pitch yellow, attack Haze Bending. But, considering that I've just told you I will not kill Haze Bending this turn, the best line, in my opinion, is CNC for 7, discard Windup to make Might and Agility, then Arsenal Bare Fangs. This line is higher damage this turn, but is not threatening a breakpoint on the CNC and is not setting up. And because we have made an agility, I really want to set up. We're also at 15. We are very fine on life. We have Flesh Bag. We saw a Battlefront Bastion come out of Enigma's arsenal, so it's very likely that Fleshbag would have hurt Enigma, that she is not playing a lot of instant speed ward or auras, so the Fleshbag would interfere with her ability to pay for a CNC or a Battlefront Bastion. I think setting up for the 5-card hand with agility would have been very good. We luck into a red Bare Fangs and a Smash Instinct to pay for it, so we are still going to have a good turn. I just think the turn could have been a lot better. Haze Bending coming in for 4. This is a good time to cash in the Flesh Bag. Everything that I just said is still true. It's very likely that Enigma can't do anything with the last card in her hand. She does get to play out a blue Vengeful Apparition, which the printed text on it feels very irrelevant. The important part of the card is that it is an aura that can attack with Iris. It is a 1-card 4. We get an unmovable out of Enigma's arsenal, so lost the 50% on that Scowling Flesh Bag. But we do still kill the Vengeful Apparition. Enigma does get a Spectral Shield. The only correct play with this hand is to attack with Agile Windup for 6, rather than Claw for 3, discard, or Arsenal Windup. We put Enigma down to 4. We're in a good position in this game. Haze Bending continuing to get value. Do we want to block this? I don't believe so. We could cover it with Weakest Link and Apex Bonebreaker. What I might want to do instead to play around defense reactions is play Weakest Link, pitching Beast Within, discarding Agile Windup to make Might and Agility, and then Arsenal Pulping, which would lead me to not block Haze Bending. The other line that we can take, well, the fact that Enigma is not arsenaling a card does change this. We can't block Metamorph from hand, unfortunately. All of our blocking cards are poppers. But we can put Bonebreaker and Leathers in front of the Metamorph and go down to 4. We're going to play Pulping, pitching Agile Windup, and just hoping to discard our Beast Within. But worst case scenario after the Pulping is that we keep Beast Within and something, and either get to pitch Beast Within to attack with a 2 for 6, or pitch a blue to attack with Beast Within. So we do find a Wild Ride, which is going to let us attack Enigma for 6 more damage this turn. Enigma currently going down to 2 after this Sink Below, so she is going to need to give us 2 more cards to stay alive. The third card in her hand will turn into 4 damage with Haze Bending. We get to block that with a single 3 block from hand to go down to 3, and hope that the other 3 cards in our hand are good enough to just win the game. And the fact that those 3 cards are a blue, Blood Rush Bellow, and an attack makes me think that is the case. We'll block this with Swing Big or E-Strike. It really doesn't matter. They are both going to our discard between this turn and the next. But we go to 3 here, and we can Blood Rush. We could also just Swing Big for 9 at Enigma's face. We are expecting that Enigma would be able to block 9, but to do so would take 3 cards. Either she is blocking with 3/3 blocks, or she is blocking with an unmovable, having to pitch for it, and a 3rd card. If she has Sink Below Fate Foreseen, then she gets to keep 2 cards, which is scary for us. But if we Swing Big for 9, then very likely her Crackback is just another 4. We get to block that with another 3 block, go to 2, and then have a 4-card Blood Rush. So there is merit to Swing Bigging for 9 versus Blood Rushing here, floating 2 resources and drawing 2 cards. The only way that Blood Rush is less damage and very likely not lethal is if we draw into 2 reds, where we could not Mandible Claw attack. But if I'm making this call now, I am Blood Rushing, based on the fact that Enigma has shown us Fate Foreseens and Sink Belows, and if she has the ability to block 8 with 2 cards, then we are in a bad position. Does not seem to be the case. Enigma currently taking lethal damage and showing us a non-block in hand. So we do manage to wrap things up. Overall, not the best game I've ever played. It did work out based on a series of good draws. We had some good pivot turns. We were fairly mindful about keeping Go Again in the arsenal, but I think I could have done it a lot better. Enigma does give us time to set up these 5-card agility turns, and if she doesn't have a board set up, especially if she's playing something like Iris, if she doesn't already have a board set up, then we don't get punished for a pattern of small turn, big turn, small turn, big turn. We had a series of medium turns. I think a few more big turns would have gotten us this game either sooner or with more life. Certainly blocking with a Blood Rush Bellow was a mistake. just some shoddy play throughout this game that didn't net us a loss, but very easily could have. And I hope if you're in this position that you don't make the same mistakes. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to assault and batter that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you have not already done so, consider a YouTube subscription. It's free and helps me out a lot. I have a Twitter, I have a Patreon. Check those out in the video description below. And until the next time I see you on Daily FaB Gameplay, take care.